Welcome back to a Sunday Night Live here on RGR Football. Hope you guys had a great Mother's Day, and to all you mothers, this one's for you. It's a late night. We had our Mother's Day plans kind of get involved, and we're running really late today, but I wanted to get back with you guys at least a little bit, get online, and tell you a couple of things that I've been thinking about. We had a great day. The weather out here in Colorado was a challenge, so we got drastically behind, but lot to be happy about on this Mother's Day and for the Chiefs' upcoming season. So wanted to jump in here. If you are new, like, sub, hit the bell. I'm Ryan. This is Ryan going rogue, and this is really, really late for us. Normally, we're live. We do a Sunday Night Live stream every week, and we move the topics around. Now that the draft is passed, we start looking forward to the next phase of the preparation for the 2023 season. And so we shift gears a little bit. And what I wanted to talk about here is not just reaction to what the schedule came out to be here a couple days ago, but really what it's going to be going forward. What are the big hurdles? What are the things that stand out to me as I look about development and where this is going? What's up, Dre? Hope you're doing well. Yeah, hopefully no more rain, man. We'll see what happens. It's still storming up here by me. So hope you're doing well, buddy. A lot of folks think that there's some additions that can be made. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. But I am intrigued because at least one thing's been consistent, and that is that Chris Jones is still tweeting about Frank Clark. So this is definitely something that he's going to continue. And as we sit back on today's holiday, I want to think about that because I do feel like there's an addition to be made for Frank Clark. He's somebody who can come back onto the roster and I think be able to help out the younger guys. Now, what's been the big problem? And I've been critical of Frank over the last couple of years too, because specifically he wasn't able to play up to his particular contract. Not that he's a bad player. He still has a lot to offer. And as we know, he comes on in the playoffs. He's still got the sack record thing out there. He's achieved a lot, but it's not the $20 million a year kind of performance that we were paying for before. So now we have to kind of just turn it over and get back to what it really is. What's up, Keaton? Ben, glad you're here. Nice to see you. We're going to kind of like get into this, what can help Patrick out. I know it's really, really late for a stream here tonight, but I wanted to get with you guys and see what was going on and see what we could do in additions and what we should look for in the coming season. It's going to be pivotal to how they end up performing and where they end in the final standings. I'm going to stack some of your questions here, you guys. And don't worry, we're going to do our normal thing tomorrow night. We will have the standard Q&A on Monday, like always. That's not going to go away. So we can get back to that here in a little bit. Good evening, Cindy. Hope you're doing well. A lot of folks in here. Our newest mod, Gary Hollins, in the house. Nice to see you guys as well. So what I take away from the Frank situation is that it's about expectation versus delivery. And so he can still be a factor on this team, whether it's just a situational pass rusher, whether it's, I think, early in the season, a guy that can play on early downs and kind of show the younger guys a little bit of how to get that done. Felix Anudike-Uzomah has a long way to go against the run. That's just part of his eval and what he was asked to do in college. He can learn a lot specifically from Frank Clark about how to set that edge against the run. Now, Felix has got some pass rush tools. I'm sure Frank can bring him along as well. Yeah, Brad, sorry. It's been quite a long day, but got you something because I wanted to at least touch base and see how you all are doing. We'll have our normal Monday tomorrow night, so don't miss that. And I know there'll be more questions that we don't get to tonight that we'll get there tomorrow, so not a problem. But that's a great question, Ben, and I'll get to that in just a second. I think that Frank is in a unique position to kind of be a guy that doesn't have to be a high dollar guy and can finish his career in a good spot if he were able to come back and really benefit the next generation and be a guy that plays a role, a different role, albeit, but a role that can help this team win again. And it's not just Patrick. It has to be, the guys on defense that are going to bring that along. It has to be Chris Jones. It has to be Nick Bolton. I think you have to see more fire from Justin Reed. And I know like the talking out loud and stuff last year was a problem, specifically for a team. And then he was able to settle it back down. But we need to hear more positive talk. We need to hear more, not just about an opponent, but about being the best that they can be. We need to see a little bit more leadership from that in terms of what Justin Reed brings to the table too. So I do think bringing Frank back is something that Chris Jones is going to continue to stomp for. And I think he's going to get his way, particularly if Chris shaves a little off the top of his contract extension that is coming. That could pave the way to get Frank back in the fold. And I do think that's worth it. Dre, thank you. If you guys would hit the like, that would very much help me. I know it's late. There's only a few of us left around, but if you guys would help me out with that, that certainly will pay off. So appreciate it. Some of us are, already starting our day down in Queensland. Good day there, Alan. I hope you're doing well. I have some friends, or maybe is it afternoon in Queensland? Sorry, I misread that. I have some friends that work over on the other side of Europe that are just waking up and starting their day as well. So time zones are definitely a challenge, but hope you're doing well and enjoyed that. Yeah, what's up, Cole? I know my timing is not the greatest. It's been a long Mother's Day, so I wanted to get out here and see everybody. Hope you're doing well, pal. Appreciate you jumping in. A lot going on here, guys. So I know we'll get to the questions because I want to tie into the Frank thoughts. And there are some rumors floating around. And Lewis, you brought it up first. Have you seen the people are talking about the Chiefs should trade for Dalvin Cook? Yes, I've seen that. I don't buy into that, and I don't support that. I don't want to trade for the guy. If they're going to let him cut loose, much like I've been saying all of this offseason, same thing with D-Hop, same thing with anybody that you feel can add to you, go for it as a free agent. But trading away assets, and in this case, trading away for contracts that already exist, that makes it super hard. In order to get Frank done or any other additions onto this roster, they have to get the Chris Jones extension done. Could you take a little back from the Tooney contract? Yeah, you probably could. But really, the only option left is to really go get the extension done with Chris so that you can recoup some of that salary. And that's the way that they could add some additions. So Dalvin Cook in this offense makes a lot of sense. Sure. Still catches the ball well, still accelerates well. He's just fragile. He's just another guy that can't be relied to be a workhorse. Okay, that fits. Now, obviously with Jarek back, he does a lot of the pass catching and a lot of the pass down work. I think Dalvin would do that too, but Dalvin can mix in a little bit more too. So if they were to try to acquire him, I think the trade value would be too high. But if we're come down to a free agent situation, I think that I could see that fitting in because there is some space in there. This leads right into what Dre was asking too, and that's CEH. Does he make the roster? Right now, yeah, it's pretty clear because he is still able to catch the ball. He is still able to run this offense. So Deneric Prince isn't putting CEH off of this roster. It will be Pacheco, CEH, volume kind of swap. I think they actually kind of overused Jarek a little bit in terms of touches last year. So I'd like to see EH and Pacheco just kind of flip what we had thought was going to happen last year and end up with Pacheco 1, Clyde 2, and Jarek be able to be the third down change of pace guy. So you don't have to ask so much of him because another 20 games for Jerick McKinnon is pushing the limit, I think. So I'd rather save him is my point. And if you can do anything like that, I think that makes sense. So that ties in really well. And thank you, Drake, because you're setting me up perfect tonight to get into this and look at who's coming where. In fact, let me try a different view and see if that helps a little bit. Yeah. So when you take a look at it, it's not that it's certainly not easy because I think when you look at the first quarter of the season here, what you get 1, 2, 3, and 4. You get a Jaguars team that has pushed you in the past. You've seen them in the playoffs. You have a Jets team that almost made the playoffs, and they didn't have a living, breathing quarterback at the time. Now they have a Hall of Famer. Yes, Aaron Rodgers is on the backside of his career. I think I put it with Dan the other day on the phone. He's standing at the cliff. The question is he still like on the precipice looking down, or is Aaron Rodgers fallen off of the cliff? That's what we have to find out. They've done a good job, I think, giving him weapons and trying to make that roster competitive. The defense is solid. They've added pass rusher. I question some of their thoughts around what the pass rusher should be, but there's no doubt that they've added a bunch of them. They have a 6-man rotation at edge in New York, and I think that's significant. And now if you can put some points up with the offensive additions that have come to help Aaron Rodgers, I think that's significant. That's somebody that you have to pay attention to. So maybe in the last couple of years, we've had a standout game in the first quarter. Now there's at least 2. And I don't want to overlook the Lions. The Lions made a lot of progress last year. the Lions made enough progress that you have to be not only respectful, it's the beginning of the season. Defense starts slow for Kansas City a lot. They can put up some points. Obviously, they add some things as well. I think they're a year ahead of where the Bears are. The Bears are still coming on, but they have a scrambling quarterback that I think Ryan Poles has done a solid job of propping up so that he can support him better. So it's not an easy run through the first quarter of the season. And I think that's where, in particular, you want to have Clyde. You want to have Pacheco as a 1-2. You want to have Jarek if you need him. They may have to kind of like throw a little bit of extra spark because games 1, 2, and 4 might need a little bit extra. Maybe that means Jarek's got to put out some snaps, put out some touches. But you got to find a way to get that back so you don't overtax him and you don't make the running back room a liability. Now, Deneric Prince is the big name that's coming in. I think Jerrion Ely still has a shot to play running back on this roster. I do like his conceptual comparison to Jerick McKinnon. So there's a little bit of a 1-2 punch there. If you were to somehow add a Dalvin, you have to get Andy to really change his tune about dedicating snaps to the run game. And I don't think we're going to see that. But if Dalvin Cook were to come onto this roster, that would make one of the other players expendable, tradable, etc. I think in that scenario, that most likely would be Clyde. But you get into the second portion of the season here, and you've got some turmoil here. You got the Vikings. I think you'll be okay. You've got 2 games against the Broncos. They're going to get talked up. I'm just going to tell you. Between Sean Payton coming to town, Russ trying to revive himself, I think you will see some talking heads, quite honestly, overestimate them again. That's just the way that it is. Yeah, I know how you feel, Cole. It just keeps on going, brother. But you do the same thing, and I appreciate you. I know it's Sunday night, so my best to your wife on Mother's Day as well, and everybody's wives out there that have been doing the Mother's Day thing today. Been a long one, but hey, that's what they deserve. You got to take care of them, right? Ben was just asking about Deneric Prince. He's the guy that is excitable right now. Folks are digging. Okay, sorry, I'm gonna have to get back to that, Jennifer. Sorry, threw me off. In the end, can Deneric push to be one of the 4? And I do think it's a 4-man rotation. I think they feel comfortable there. Obviously, I don't think with the departure of Mike Burton, you could have had him back. Solid, experience, can play teams for you. It feels like Andy has finally given up the ghost and is going to go without a fullback this year, unless they intend to use Noah in some of that work. So on the 20 snaps a year that you want to have the fullback in there, maybe that's Noah Gray's new role to add that to what he already does. Maybe that happens. So Ben, I do think Deneric will push for the roster. I don't know if they're going to make it, depending on the decisions or if they get anyone else. But right now, I probably have him making the 53 because attrition's always tough on running backs in this offense. So I kind of feel like that's the way that it's going to go. Let's see, Matt. Where can I get a hat like that? You can get it right down in the store in the description. It's RGR. It's bit.ly/RGR store. You can all just click the link in there too. That goes to our main store, and we have hats, hoodies, tees, the whole thing. This is my MVP logo from a design drawing that I did quite a while ago, actually, but just started to get it out in public. So feel free, let me know what you think in the quality of the hats. Once you get them, let me know what you think. Mine's a trucker, actually, and I kind of like that mesh, especially for the summertime. Black, yeah, I need that. Josh, I just bought 2 tickets to the Week 3 game. My first Arrowhead experience, should catch the Chargers away game as well. Rock on, Josh. Congrats. It's definitely experience being at Arrowhead. My first time was in 1992, and it was a hell of a time. So I think that you're going to enjoy yourself. I know that you will. Hit up everybody around here in the chat as it gets closer, so you can find out where everybody's going to be tailgating. It depends on Lot D's pretty good. I've been there a number of times. There's a couple others too, and Seth has got a setup too. I can't remember which lot he's in normally, but we'll help hook you up. And we got a couple of members here on the channel that are going to offer up some things. We're going to have some raffles and giveaways coming this year as well. I think that folks are being very generous right now because, hey, once you get that Super Bowl ring, man, you want to spread it around. So I appreciate that. Have a blast, and let me know about the Chargers thing too. Where, yeah, are comfortable with Tony. I mean, comfortable. I think he has the capability. We got to remember. Now he's been in the league 2 years. He's shown flashes. He has been the gadget type guy. We have come to expect that, right? It's exactly what Tyreek was for the first couple of years, right? So that comparison makes a lot of sense. The difference was that Tyreek was a different physical body. He had the armor to go head to head, to line up against press, to really be in full contact situations. I don't know that Kadarius is going to be able to survive that just because of his frame, right? He certainly has the speed and the wiggle, right? I wouldn't say that he's quite as good at change of direction as Tyreek is. Honestly, no one is. I'll run his numbers again in the matrix. And I am working on some graphics. We're going to give you guys some more looks at some of the draft picks as we start to look forward to them here and on Locked On Chiefs. You can find me over there in the podcast format. Excuse me. But honestly, I think in terms of targets, Tony should be the number one. We've seen him elevate. We've seen him separate. It's just the contact piece that is my only concern. Is MVS ready to be a number one? I have trouble seeing that. I don't think Sky is either. I do think that overall, we're going to be in a committee wide receiver core, just like the running back core again, until Kadarius gets to the point where he feels that he can be a number one and actually performs like it. Could that be this year? It certainly could. It could be a year from now too. So we just have to see how it evolves. I'm really want to see him settle down and be a guy that is week in, week out there. Availability is going to be the big thing for him. And if he can maintain it, I think we're in good shape. Then Chris Jones, when will they extend him? Chris is doing the public thing. I don't know that motivates Veach to like change his offer or anything. I like that Chris is trying to get Frank Clark back. I know they're pals and I know they work well together. It really comes down to the extension to see if Frank can get back. So I hope that they work it out sooner rather than later. My gut tells me it's still going to be a deadline-driven thing. Trez used to tell us all the time, and he told me multiple times, man, you're way out there thinking they're going to get it done early. They're not. It's the deadline that makes a deal, and Trez was always right. So it makes me feel like it's probably, a July thing just before training camp. But if things get hectic or they do have an opportunity to bring in someone that they really do want, it takes getting the Chris extension done. Excuse me. And I think he understands that, and I think he's down with that. So I hope it feels like there's good relationship, and they should be able to get that extended. But will it be in June? It feels like July to me still. Dre, is anyone else ready for the Germany game so early? It is. It's going to take some getting used to. Our buddies Brad and Tom from the Brit show, they are definitely going to be happy. Now, I should get back in touch with Brit because honestly, those guys, like, they wait for this, and they've been to the games at Wembley. The last time the Chiefs were there, I do believe that Brad went. I'm not sure about Tom, but I'll have to check in with him and see. It is definitely going to be early, but I'm here for it. I do enjoy the fact, and I know people are kind of bummed out about it, but I enjoy the fact the Chiefs are one of the teams that the NFL has decided to make part of the ambassadors outside of the country and grow the NFL across the world. I am into that, to tell you the truth. Thanks, Dre. Marcelino, great job. Thank you. I appreciate it. I know it's kind of haphazard and late, but I appreciate you guys being here. We're going to go for a bit longer and kind of get through your questions, and then we'll get ready for tomorrow because we all have a work week ahead of us, and I understand that too. Let's see. Stacking the last couple of questions, and we'll get there. And I'm just leaving this up. We can talk about it as we go through. So which wide receiver do you feel makes the biggest leap this year? For me, it's Sky, because I feel like he just started to catch on there late, and I think a year off-season training – working with Mahomes again, I feel like he can be a guy that takes a step forward. But they brought Justin Watson back on a contract that's pretty solid, and I feel like maybe he's got some upside left as well. So he surprised me last year. I didn't think he was going to make the roster at first. He definitely came on, and I think Justin Watson's got more to offer as well. Rasheed's going to be is going to be a challenge. Any rookie wide receivers has a tougher road than the vets in this offense. We all know that, but it's this area that we're talking about, right? It's maybe it's the Germany game. maybe it's after that bye and he's gotten a chance to like have a true week off. I know they have a mini bye in here because they have 10 days between Thursday night against the Broncos and then their matchup against the Chargers. But I think this bye and Monday Night Football might be the spot where we start to see Rashee Rice really start to evolve and come out. Same thing with Felix. I think it's going to be a lot of learning early, a lot of getting used to. But week 11, week 12 was right around where George started to turn it loose, right? So I can see the same thing coming for Felix Anudike-Uzomah, and I hope that that's the way that it works out. And yes, I'm trying to say his name more smoothly and more often, so you guys tell me how I'm doing in the chat, but I'm working on it. Kenneth, hope you're doing good. What do you think about the wide receiver room right now? I feel like it's pretty good shape. A lot of people say they still want D-Hop, and other folks are saying we don't need him now. If he's out there and he's cheap, excuse me, it's been a long day. I do still think that that's a conversation, but I do feel like they have a breadth of talent that they can rely on and bring in and get something done. I feel like the wide receiver core is going the way of the DBs, where, you know what, as long as you can play and you have the skill set, body type, and the athleticism that we're looking for, I don't think they feel like they have to have a superstar at number one, or they're willing to grow another one like Tyreek. You know, as a third-round pick investment, Kadarius Toney is great value. And it took Tyreek a little bit to get going, and then he caught on. Could the same thing happen for Kadarius? Absolutely. Just tie into that other question as well. He could emerge as a number one this season. You never know. He could just be the leader of a bunch of number twos, and that worked just fine last year when they had to get a Super Bowl one. So I'm confident in that at this point. Okay, Jennifer, thank you. Got back to you. You're too kind. A-Rod on the backside. A-Rod on the backside of Hall of Fame. Yeah. Yeah, we can see the fall from here, right? Yeah. I'm trying to be respectful because you never know. If he puts the hammer back down, maybe he could put it together one more time. I don't want to discount because of the age. Trying to play my cards a little close there. Why isn't our strength of difficulty and schedule higher? Because we were playing a lot of good teams. Honestly, don't know. I haven't seen the mathematical rundown of strength schedule on this. And quite frankly, I don't care. It only matters to me when you start looking at the games that are remaining about halfway through the season, because honestly, anybody who looks at strength of schedule now can only go off of last year's and like the theoretical changes that free agency and the draft have done, right? There's no empirical proof yet. Once we see the first 6 or 8 games, then we know what teams are and possibly what they're capable of. I think strength of schedule comes in more handy there in the second half of the regular season, Brent. So don't get too tied up in it. I don't think it's a big deal. Lisa, hope you're doing well. Which AFC team are you most worried about? At the end of the day, it's about the quarterbacks. The only one proven right now that can be dangerous to the Chiefs is Justin Herbert. Adding Quentin Johnson to Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, that's a powerful trio. Luckily, the Chiefs have a lot of long-armed, fast, and physical corners that can deal with those guys. But Mike Williams has had a knack against this team. Keenan Allen's, he's getting older, slowing down. You guys know how I feel about him. I never felt that he was elite myself, but I'm a little stingy on that one. But bringing in the third option there in Quentin, if he can get off the schneid in terms of running decent routes and understanding how to attack, especially a zone defense, I think they might be a little bit more formidable. Certainly than what I think is going to happen. I think Hamler may be on his way out of Denver. And as good as Sean Payton is, I'm not convinced that Russ Wilson's going to be able to revive what he once was in Seattle. So I still have the Chargers as the biggest threat in the West. Jimmy Garoppolo is a solid quarterback. I don't think he's taken him anywhere fantabulous, right? Tyree Wilson, I think they overdrafted him. I think anybody who took him there would have overdrafted him. They've done that before. I don't know if it pays off or not. I don't want to discount Tyree because I do feel like he's got a lot of upside. But you pair him with Max Crosby, Chandler Jones is still on that roster. That's a formidable pass rush. You got to be respectful of that. But I don't feel that they can put up the points to stay with the Chiefs. So for me, it's the Chargers. And that's really it. I don't think it's too hurtful to say that I don't think the Broncos are ready. Thank you, though. Great question. Goriella, yo, I'm here for you, my guy. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate you. I appreciate you guys jumping on when it's late like this. You know, I like to still say hi, even when I'm running behind. So Brent was also saying not hoping for injury, But what if plan B, if Tony gets injured after 3 games, is just next man up? That's what it appears like right now. It certainly does feel like that's exactly how they're going to treat it. And, like I said, I think they have a good volume of guys that can be number twos. Is there a clear number one? Probably not after Tony. But when you look at it, he goes down. It's probably either Rasheed, if he catches on quick, or Richie James that comes in. And I think both of them can contribute. They can run as a Z, and I like that. Justin Watson can spell in for MVS. I would think he would be in the mix there as well. But it depends when it happens. If he gets hurt after game 3 and he's got to miss a couple, I think it's got to be the veterans. If he gets hurt, week 9, week 14, then I think you're talking about Rashee Rice being able to play a bigger role. But yes, it is going to be next man up. Whoever's ready, whoever's running the best of that week, I think is going to see the guy that gets the most touches. I hope that it expands and includes the tight ends, because I do want to see Jody Fortson get more looks this season. Ryan, which game do you have circled? I have a couple. I don't feel like the Miami offense is uber fantastic as a lot of folks make it out to be. Their run game is improved, though. They have a lot of speed there, and you never know when you go on a long trip like that. Could they sneak in and pull an upset on the Chiefs? Because it will be the Chiefs favored. I want to make sure that I guard against that. Clearly, Super Bowl rematch against the Eagles in week 11 here in the middle. That's definitely on my radar. We talked about the Chargers for sure. But then it comes down here. Talked about the Raiders. I think we're okay there. Packers, I don't expect to put up much of a fight. I hope Jordan Love shows that he's worth the investment, and I hope that he solidifies himself a career path there. I don't know, unlike the last time they played the Packers, that they're going to give the Chiefs too much static. It's these two right here, the Bills and Bengals. I think they both have the ability to be right in the thick of contention again. The Bills added, like, the big weapon they added was Dalton Kincaid. I think that does help their offense quite a bit, especially with Josh. I do like Josh Allen. If he can kind of get himself under control again a little bit, I think he has the ability there. But is there something else that's scarier for the Chiefs? Not really. So I do feel like the Chiefs and the Bengals are really the top of the AFC. But I will say this, not only the Jets and the Dolphins, but I think the Patriots are going to be improved. I don't know if they're going to be able to give the Chiefs a run, but that's like the don't trip over yourself game for me. Like, you got to be respectful. I think that's one to watch. And I love that it's the Chargers. What this schedule tells you is how the NFL feels about what they expect to see. And that is that they expect the Chargers to be right behind the Chiefs come the AFC West title down the stretch at the end of the season. Oh, sorry, clicked the wrong one there. My fault. Still clicking the wrong one. I'm not exactly on the top of my game tonight, folks. Apologies. Let me get Jackson's queued up here, and we'll call that a night here after we get through those. So I like that they put the Chargers game last. They're going to flex that out. That's why they didn't give it a time or anything. That's why Chiefs only have 2 noon games all season. I think that's actually a big deal, and I like that fact. But that Chargers game could come down to it. So those are the games that I'm really circling. Appreciate that, Dre. Ashley, if you have looked at the Aussie tight end out of Utah Utes, I have. He's on my watch list right now. In fact, let me pull that up. Make sure where I've got him. That's my 2023 list. Sorry, got to make sure that I do the right one. Because, yes, we already started looking at our boards for next year, making sure that we know the prospects that we're trying to get a good grasp on. And where's my guy? Because you might have to help me with the pronunciation there, Ashley. It is Thomas Yasmin, I believe. I've heard other people pronounce it different, but it's Yasmin. He stood out a couple of times last year, too, when I was watching Kincaid film. So he's definitely somebody that's on the list. Brock Bowers is going to be the headliner of the tight end class next year. That's pretty easy to see, but Yasmin might be there. And I think Utah might be back in the thick of it. So let's hope so. Great point. Jackson, thank you. I'm hoping for to go to a game this year. Actually, I went to the Raiders game where they set the record for the loudest game. Oh, that's awesome. That's an experience. I have a couple of those in my past as well. The one where they threw out all the towels for Pittsburgh, and Chiefs fans like threw them all back. meltdown game I was at, a couple others. Patrick Mahomes' first action here in Denver. Definitely was at that. So I hope that turns into something you can always hang your head on. That's awesome. Biz, if we didn't have faith, so we didn't have faith in John Ross, or Justin Ross. I'm not sure which you're talking about. It's not faith. It's the fact that what they've shown over the years is that they're difficult to stay healthy. So it's not whether I want them to or not. It's not whether I think they can or not. I just got to see it happen. You got to prove to me you can be healthy. And if you can, I'm all for it. I hope that both those guys work out. Kenneth, if the Chiefs don't bring back Frank, do you think that means they have faith in Felix and George? I definitely feel that that would be a signal that between Amenahue being the older guy that can kind of bring them along, maybe they feel that that's good. And Mike Dana, guys that can play inside, outside, all four of them. I think that is a signal that they're like, you know what, we're okay. We feel like the young guys can get it done with a little bit of help from Amenahue and Dana. And I'm okay with that. If that's the way they choose to go, I'll be a little surprised. But hey, if it works, it works. Last call for questions, and I'll let you guys have your Sunday evening back. Again, thank you for being here with me so late. Just the way that today went. Last question from Jackson. I actually think Tony might be a little bit better with the physicality of the ball than Tyreek's. He's a little bit bigger than Tyreek. It just comes down to technique. I see what you're meaning. Certainly the height is there, but it's the physical frame. It's the shoulder musculature that Tyreek was always able to battle and bump and grind with press man in particular. The Kadarius just doesn't have. At least he hasn't yet. Maybe he's working on that. He's still wearing like a hood in the middle of summer in Texas. I don't know what that's about, but maybe it's hiding the fact that he's bulking up. I would like that. Now, he's not a guy that can put a lot of meat on that frame. That's for sure. But if he could just add 8 pounds, maybe, like that would be enough to like be able to really combat dudes who want to be physical with him. And I think that's what we're going to see this year. I think the league's a little scared of it. So I do think that they're going to come out kind of swinging at him. So we'll see where he comes in. So that's it. Ken, thank you. Appreciate that. Appreciate you guys being here. Like, sub, hit the bell if you're new to us. And if it's just us, well, cheers, you guys. We'll be back tomorrow for Q&A like always. My voice should be better, and we'll be on time tomorrow. I will tell you that. We're going to go a little bit later in general during the summer. So we're going to probably look at 7 p.m. rather than 6 p.m. But I'll let you guys know that tomorrow, and you should get the drops if you hit the bell here and you're already signed up. So have a great evening. Happy Mother's Day to all of you and to all of your mothers and spouses as well. So have a good one. Night, Dre. You guys take care. I'll talk to you tomorrow.